Okay. So here it is. More or less what we're looking for. So you can see we still get like simulation movement. It's not just our velocity fields. But, you know, we're getting the orbit that we wanted. It's not quite sticking as close to this shape as maybe we would have liked. But two things. One is that it's leaving our velocity field right around here. Two, we could actually increase the suction probably back up from 0.04 to something a little bit higher to get it to stick better. But I also just want to dissipate this whole thing out, maybe starting around here. So there's really only this little bit down here that I intend for us to keep anyway. So long story short, it works. Here it is in our cache. I would also say that by the time it gets to here, maybe, it seems pretty much full. So let me change this to 240 for a second. Certainly at least by the time it gets to 96, I feel like it's pretty much 92, I don't know. It's reached its full potential. So I'm going to say a couple of things. One is put a time shift after this now, and I'll say frame plus 92. That way on the first frame now, it's full. And then until frame 72, it's obviously still going. After frame 72, we don't care anymore, because that's actually going to be how long we actually render it to. So it's at frame 164 of the cache by then. So really, we don't need to sim any more than frame 164. For the sake of argument, I'm going to say frame 170 so we have some wiggle room. But we might as well save ourselves 72 frames of simulation. Oh, look at that, 72. I guess 70 frames of simulation, especially as we start increasing these resolutions. So there you go. I also realized that we forgot to put a pyro post process here. And there it is. Not to apply any kind of look, but because it's good to convert this to a VDB, resample the vel if we were importing the vel, but also use 16-bit float. Remember that will make the ArcDisk caches take up half the size. So no reason really not to do that. We don't need all that extra resolution. Very good. So like I said, I want this to fade out. Now we could use our fade-a-majig, the wranglers that we were doing before, to fade out, but it can be nice to actually do the fading in our sim. And I really just want any excuse to show you a gas field wrangler, because it occurred to me that I actually never got to use one of these with you guys. This is a wrangler. It's called a gas field wrangler, but really all this is it's a volume wrangler that happens inside of a sim. So in the same ways that we use our volume wranglers back here to do all of our deformations and cool stuff, this is a volume wrangler in the sim. It can be very useful, and we're going to use it right now for a very not useful thing, which is just going to say the density times equals itself times 0.9. In fact, I'll just have it be like, I'll make it a parameter at least. I mean, obviously you can do all kinds of stuff here. You can modify the velocity here in some programmatic way. You can modify the temperature, the density. I mean, it's a wrangler, you get it. And it's cool because it's like a SOP solver. It's happening per frame, or substep even. It's happening during the simulation. In our case, I'm just going to have it reduce the density. I'm going to multiply it times 0.9 every time this runs. Why is that useful? I mean, I want it to die out, and it might look nicer to have it be scaled on every frame than it would to do it as a post-process. But you could probably just do it as post-process. But we're not. So let us bring this down to 0.1, point separation. We now have, it should help fade that out. We might even do a post-process anyway. And while we're at it, let's throw in a gas disturb. Not going to explain this for the 100th time, because we've used it quite a few times. But we'll keep it on the defaults, I think, for now. and just see that it gives us some extra detail, especially now that we have increased the detail here. So let's see what that does. I'm just gonna write over our old cache. Initialize simulation. Operators. That means that when I click save the disk, it will essentially just click the reset button for me here, just in case there was some cache. And there we go. So let's see what that does, and I'll make another flipbook when it's done. So there is the latest. 0.1 looks really good. I do say so myself, and I do. Yeah, it's super red. We've got it still looks like it's getting a little high. It's like getting cut off by the top of the, our simulation bounds. But overall, it's really good. We can see the benefit, I think, of the disturb as well, and just in general of the higher resolution. So this is super cool. So let's address a few of these things. Let's go grab that Wrangler thing that I mentioned earlier, the one where we chop off the density there by size, or by height rather. We could do that before or after our cache. I guess we'll do it after. So currently it's going up to, why don't I see it at all now? Oh, right. I guess I'll do it after this time shift thing here. Okay. So we're chopping it off. We're going from 0 to 28 here, as we know. I'm going to say instead of that, we'll change this one a little bit. I want it to fade out from here to here. I don't want it to fade all the way from the bottom to the top, because I was happy with the sim otherwise. I just want it to not have a hard line sometimes when it reaches the top here. Kind of see it there. So I'm going to say, instead of just having a max height, let's also do a min height. So min height, like so. And we'll say, we know that the box that we're talking about here, there it is going from 0 to 20 in height. I mean, in fact, we could just middle click and hold on this also, probably to see that, max 20-ish. So I'm going to say, let's just have it ramp out to 20, but let's only start it like at 15. So now we can say it's just this last bit that gets ramped off. Just a nice little way to control our volumes here. This is one of the really great things about Houdini in general, as opposed to a great deal of a lot of the other packages out there, is that we still get to do all of our cool SOP stuff to tweak and get that last 10%. So that looks good. Let's do our out, but let's also get from that other place. Let's go get that pyro bake that this has. This guy here. No real reason other than it's nice to have it be blue with the little purple. Look at that. Doesn't that look nice in the viewport? Pretty cool. I'm even going to turn this thing off now. So there you go. So that's what we made. Of course, it won't look quite like that when we render it, but let's see what it does look like.